Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Tiffany Garcia and I'm a librarian at the San Jose Public Library. Today we will be making a paper weaving placemat. This is a fun activity that will not only be a fun craft, but it will be sure to brighten your tables and your day. For this activity, you will need 2 different color pieces of paper, preferably construction paper, a pencil, a ruler, a pair of scissors, and glue. Any glue will do. I have a glue stick here. If you have more colors you'd like to put in there, please feel free to do so. You can add more colors, not just 2. If you happen to have a paper cutter like this, feel free to use it. It will be much easier if you're cutting straight lines. It's not required. You can use your ruler and pencil and pair of scissors to cut straight lines. Now choose what frame color you'd like to have your placemat. I'm going to use this one, this turquoise color paper as my frame. So what you're going to do here is fold it in half. So we are going to make sure that we're folding this short ways here in half. Here I'm just making sure the corners are meeting up before making sure it's folded in half. Now I can decide to make straight lines, or I can make wavy lines, zigzag lines, any kind of lines I want to decide now. Now I can do this in freehand, meaning without any ruler, but I'm going to actually go ahead and use a ruler just to make sure it's all even, because I want it to be all even. So I would recommend to have a line after every inch. So here I'm going to add a little dot after every inch. So 1 inch, mark there, just a little dot, and continue all the way to the end. And remember that this is near the top of my folded sheet. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom part of this half sheet. So if I was to put a ruler over the top dot and the lower dot of the first inch, it would be straight. But here I'm actually going to make waves, kind of like ocean waves. I'm going to make sure that they end and begin on the dots. And I'm doing this for every inch. And now I'm going to get my pair of scissors and start cutting. Now notice I am doing it starting from the side that is still folded, so it's not the end of the sheet but the middle of the sheet. And I'm only cutting all the way to the dot I have. I'm making sure not to cut all the way because I want the strips to stay connected with the frame. And I'm going to do this for every line that I drew. The paper may shift a little bit, and that is why I am sometimes readjusting it, making sure that the sheet is connected together, and the corners, I try to make sure that they stay together. Now that I am done cutting, I'm going to open this up so I can show you what it looks like. See? Now it is all connected still, and I'm going to fold in a little bit of the sheet inwards so that try to get the middle crease out of it. But it's okay, don't worry about that. If you see any pencil marks still on the sheet, go ahead and place it facing the table. Now grab your second sheet, another color that you want to use to intertwine with your mat. And now we are going to start making strips, and I would recommend 1-inch strips. So like I mentioned earlier, you can use a ruler, pencil, and scissors to make your strips. You would want to measure it using your ruler here, making a little dot on every inch mark on the top, and then I'm going to do the same on the bottom of the sheet. And now I'm going to line up my ruler using the top dots and the lower dots to meet up and draw a line together. See? And that will be my strip. And for each of these lines, I'm going to go ahead and cut them using my pair of scissors. If you have a paper cutter, go ahead and use it, but if you don't, no problem. Now I have all of my strips ready, and now we are going to start weaving. Like I mentioned before, you can add other colors. You can add other color strips or other color strips on top of each other like here, but it's up to you. I'm not going to for this activity though. Now grab one of your strips and start by going under. You're starting to weave in and out of the strips. So the hidden white pieces you'll see on the opposite side because it's going in and out. So you'll have little strips hanging out on the top and bottom, and also it may get a little crooked, but that's okay. You're going to keep pressing them against each other. Now for your next strip, you're going to do the opposite. So we went underneath the first strip, so we are actually going over and going to go ahead and continue weaving in and out. You do have to be gentle as this is paper, so you don't want to accidentally end up ripping any of the paper you have. And once you've completed the weaving, go ahead and start pressing it against the other strip. May be a little tricky, but that's okay. You just got to keep pressing gently. And now with the third strip, you're going to copy the first strip's last step. So going underneath and then up and then back down underneath. So here I just fast forward a little bit so you could see the end of the weaving process. Like I said, you do have to be gentle because this is paper. It can rip, so be gentle. Now that you've finished weaving, you will want to glue these down at the ends. So go ahead and grab your glue, but before you start gluing, also make sure that all of these strips are snug together. They're all pressed against side by side each other. Now that I'm ready to start gluing, I'm going to go ahead and lift the end of the strip here and just add a little glue on the placemat and maybe a little bit on the strip too. And press it down and make sure it stays there, and continue with every other strip, because what you're going to do is actually flip the placemat over and do the same thing for the other strips that are on the other side, ending on the other side, I should say. And now we are going to flip it over and do the same exact thing on the other side for those strips that we haven't glued down yet. Now that we are done gluing, we are going to get our scissors and start cutting off the extra white pieces that are hanging off the placemat. Try to be careful not to cut the actual placemat itself, the turquoise placemat that you see here. I'm trying to avoid not cutting that, but just cutting the extra white strips ends. And do the same for the other side. And now I have my placemat. And as you see here, both sides have the design, so it could be either side I display. If you did add other color strips, this is a similar image of what it would look like. You really can get creative with placemats, and I hope you do. Thank you for joining me in the Sounds Lake Public Library. Please take a few minutes to fill out our program survey. For a complete list of other virtual programs, please visit sjpl.org/virtual programs. Also, don't forget to follow us at San Jose Library on Facebook and sign up for their newsletter at sjpl.org/e-newsletter to stay informed of all things SJPL. Have a great day.